Hello everyone, I'm Mike Toledo, your host on Dent Time PDR, a podcast about PDR training, tutorials, interviews, and much more. So get something to eat, drink, and start pushing. It's time to listen. All right, what's going on everybody? What is crack-a-lackin'? Well, before I get into the topic about why I got a PDR shop, and some of you are going to probably contemplate, maybe you'll take my advice, maybe you will help make you a better decision whether you should get a shop or shouldn't get a shop. Maybe you're thinking about a shop and then maybe you had second thoughts after what I'm talking about. I'm not here to talk you into a shop, and I'm not going to talk you out of a shop. I'm just going to basically lay down the law about what you're visually think it's going to be and then what it'll really reality be. However, it can be anything you want as long as you are going to work hard for it. So we'll get just into that topic. But I just want to talk about another topic. I want to continue just a little bit of story. I forgot to mention one funny part of the story about how I got into video. And I'll continue about the part where Bira asked if he could shoot me and do a video. Well, I skipped the main part about how the shot went. The shot was really good. He set up his little HDV, a little camcorder. It was high definition video. It was like I wouldn't say prosumer, like a professional camcorder. It wasn't like a cheap camcorder either. It was, I think, a $500-$600 range camcorder, but it shot high definition. It was the best you could get for that price range without going into the super heavy duty, $2,000 cameras. So anyways, he shoots the video, did a great job. But as any main camera guy, I don't care how good he is, if he's never shot video of a PDR tech using the right reflection, you're never going to get that money shot, shall I say. That even for me today, and I'm sure you guys can relate, that shooting a good video clip of you doing the repair can be quite challenging. Well, you can imagine for somebody who doesn't do PDR but does video quite often, still couldn't get the shot. So what he ended up doing is shooting a reflection, of my pants, of me in the shot. So anyways, we did the video, we did the voiceover. I was amazed that he could do it and I could do it all at his place. And you've heard the story, and if you haven't, please listen to the last podcast and go into kind of detail. I was just surprised that you could actually create a video all in your own workplace. I mean, you didn't have to send it to someone else, and someone else had it wasn't kind of like back in the day where there was 4 specialists, a sound guy, and all these other people. So fast forward, we put it on YouTube. It gets a lot of hits. I mean, it's getting a lot of hits. But later on, I didn't check it. I wasn't a stat person. And I started getting these emails, people commenting on it, and they're laughing like, oh, he's bleeping the dent out. Oh, he's humping the dent out. Oh, look at that, blah, blah, blah. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? So I go and look at the video again. Granted, I'm getting a lot of views on this thing. And this is like probably, I think it was late 2005, mid 2005, somewhere around there. And so I look at the video, and sure enough, Bira not only shoots a video of me and, the reflection of my pants, because that's the only way he could pick it up. He was actually shooting like where my crotch was at. And while I was applying pressure, the panel goes in and out, in and out. So it looked like I was actually thrusting my hips in and out of the dent. And it looked like my crotch was actually taking the dent out. It was funny, but embarrassing at the same time. So I told Bearda to take that off. I really wanted him to take it off. He goes, "What? You're getting so many views." I said, "I don't care. Take it off." I was embarrassed. But here's the thing. If I would have left it up, it probably would have been the most watched PDR video because of that reason. So my point is on this, be unique as much as possible, even if it's kind of out of the ordinary. Attention will get you views and get you noticed. They say no bad news is, there's no such thing as bad news is good publicity. I forgot how it is. No news is bad. Oh, whatever. There's no such thing as bad publicity. There you go. Well, I mean, I think that really is in the beholder of a viewer or the person of themselves. But anyways, I think that's a double-edged sword right there. So I had him take it down. But my main thing too is, you guys, here's a tip for you. Get out there and be unique. Do something. Mainly, first of all, be yourself. That's number one. Be yourself. 2, be unique. Be creative. Say something, do something that makes your company unique. What is it that you have to offer? And really make sure you are yourself, because that's the number one thing. And if you can be consistent, like I was mentioning on the last podcast, you'll go a long way. But be unique and try new things. Kind of step out of your comfort zone, but don't put on a whole different character. That's all. I mean, if you're doing it on purpose, beautiful. And as long as people know that works out great. But be yourself, be unique, and try to be creative most of all. All right, so moving on to the PDR shop. All right, first of all, before I get too deep into this podcast, I want to wish everybody, all the couples, all the married couples, everybody out there, a happy Valentine's Day. As I was recording the first part of this, I had to stop and go out and take my wife out to a pre-Valentine's dinner. We were actually going to go out with a couple very close friends of mine, actually my best friend and his wife. And unfortunately, his babysitter got sick, so we kept our reservations and we just went out. So again, congratulations and happy Valentine's Day to all the couples out there. I wish you many, many more years of continuous success in your relationships. And, well, I'm not such a good, what do you call it? Relationship person, so I don't know. I'll just leave it there. All right, so let's just move on. All right, so let's talk about my PDR shop. I'm going to give you some takes on what I've really thought about, how things have gone since now, and I've had it for almost just about 3 years now, and so I'm going to go through some of the topics that we're going to talk about. I know I'm looking at my notes, so that's why you kind of hear me kind of like hesitating here and there. So let's talk about the shop things. Okay, we'll talk about reasons why I wanted a shop. We're going to talk about reasons that make me not want a shop, and can I make it just doing PDR alone? And I'm going to answer that right away. And the answer is no. And so stay tuned on that, why I say that. We're going to talk about the pros, the cons, and the long-term goal. So those are the topics we're going to cover on my PDR shop. Now, this could very easily pertain to you, so that's why we're bringing it up. And for somebody who's contemplating getting a shop, this is probably a really good topic to cover. I've actually talked about this, and we've covered a little bit about this on PDR Tooltime. Daniel Grom has had a shop for a while. Vince D'Alessandro. Actually, here's the thing. I talked to Vince D'Alessandro into getting a shop for himself, and he's had a shop longer than I have. And I talked him into it. So we're going to go over the reasons why I got a shop, the reasons why Vince has got a shop, and Daniel Grom's got a shop. And I'll be honest with you, let's just talk about it right now. Both of those guys, including a lot of shops out there, they have other avenues of income to sustain the shop. I'm not saying that you can't make it alone just doing PDR alone. I'm not saying that. However, you better have a really good mindset or very good established customer base to do that. I know I don't talk to him much one-on-one, but I know a guy up in Orange County next to Vince who's been there a long time. He's had a shop for a very long time, and that's Beach City's PDR. And I'd like to bring him on sometime soon. Hey, he doesn't even know. I'll probably even mention him right now in this system, in this podcast. But it is, I know Jeff is one guy in California that has just sustained just doing PDR alone at his shop. As far as I know of. I know he does offer bumper repair here and there. He probably subs it out, but mainly he does PDR. So, okay. So owning a shop, we all know it's a PDR's dream, but that's if you fully understand the responsibility of having one. So, you think that having a PDR shop is all glory, but it's not. I just want to let you know there's a lot of hard work into doing it. Keep in mind, if you're a mobile tech and then you get a shop, now you're going to work twice as hard because now you got to bring the customers to you. You know, the main reason why you are in the PDR business is because you are promoting that you come to the customer, right? The convenience of you coming to the customer is always going to be a good reason why they're choosing you. Now you have to bring the car to you. Now you're making it an inconvenience, and now you're going against the competition who will come to them. So what is going to stand out for you to get that customer to come to your shop? Now, some of you already are going to keep your mobile. I think that's a huge benefit. Keep mobile, have other techs out there going to still service your mobile service. And then you could probably do the big smashes at the shop. So the reasons why I wanted a shop. Okay, we're going to go down. We're going to just talk about that one. This is the first one topic. Okay. Well, I wanted to feel more legit. For 10 years, I was renting a spot at a detail shop. Now, granted, it was a very nice detail shop, very clean. Probably the last five years, I had my own area where I did it. The 5 years before that, I still had my own stall. I'm going to call it a stall, but it was in the open, somewhat halfway open, halfway closed, but it was still noisy. It was in the middle of downtown. There was cars, there was trains, there was homeless people once in a while walking around. I call them zombies. And it was just a lot of distractions. And then they got a new place, which they gave me my own room to train in, but I was still there. I mean, I was still in their environment with noise, with blowers and those polishers. It was just a lot of noise, and it was kind of distracting. But for the students I trained, they did fairly well. It wasn't directly in super loud noise, but it was enough to. After a while, I was just like, man, I just got to get my own place. I really do. And I had a great reputation. Training. Sorry, my thoughts are out. I just got back from dinner, so I have a full stomach, and I'm just, unfortunately, I'm hurting a little bit because I had a 18-ounce steak, and I'm just, it's hurting. So I'm trying to go over my notes and trying to be as clear as possible, guys. So anyways, I just knew it was time to move on. And having a shop of my own, for years I knew I wanted to get a shop. Now keep in mind, I told my wife I wanted to get a shop 10 years ago before I got the one I have now. And she was like, no, 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 no. You don't need a shop. You have a place. It's nice. It's downtown. It's central. And you're only going to pay so much amount of money for rent. We don't need that big overhead, yada, yada. And she was right for the most part. Okay. But if you listen to my other podcasts or a little bit, her and I do go back and forth. I mean, it's not as, shall I say, as cordial as you would assume. But her and I really, really, we get into the trenches and we go to battle on, what we feel is right for the business. She has her take. I have my take. My wife is more business oriented, and she's very much like a devil's advocate. She will think of the worst possible scenario that could happen. I mean, things that you probably won't even think of. What happens if a meteorite hits the friggin', yada, yada. I mean, just crazy things like something like you would never think of. And she's very hypothetical. So, like I mentioned before, if I really believe in it and I fight tooth and nail and I can get past her, it's definitely a good idea. I've had to do this with her on Dent Trainer. I've had to do this with her on a different business partnerships, ideas about certain things about my business. Our business. I don't want her to catch her tell me that. Or you said your business. So there has been a lot of battles, but it's definitely been worth it. Okay. And she will let me finally have my way as long as I fight for it. And she sees that I really, really believe in it, and she will support me in it. So that was one reason. I wanted to feel a little more legit. Dent Time needed a real professional training center, an official training center. I didn't want any distractions, like I mentioned. I wanted to say this is the place for the training center, and I wanted to call it my home. I also wanted to grow my services, which I'm starting to do this year. Right? It took me a while to establish. I wanted to make sure this is something I wanted to do before I really went into other services. And speaking of that, if you guys want to take a look at something that I've been working on, it's not complete, but hell, I'm going to put it out there right now. It is called dentremovalsandiego.com. This is a template that I've created myself. It wasn't a template before. I created this from scratch, and John Hiley and I have a new website format that we create websites off of this platform. And I've been building one myself that I feel very proud of, and it's called dentremovalsandiego.com. There's a blog on it. Although the blog might not be published yet because I've been working in the back end, so you can't see it. But John and I have been working on backlinks. We've been making it super professional, having some of the photos that we've taken at Mega Media event. We're going to be adding videos to it. So I felt it was time to add more services to it so I can build my shop business. And I want to add paint protection film. And I've been talking to a good friend of mine named Ron Harris, who has definitely had a successful PDR business, but he's also had a very successful paint protection film business. He did an add-on service to his shop, and he has a super clean shop. And it's in San Antonio. I think it's called the Auto Spa Concours Salon, concoursalon.com. But just look them up. I'm not quite sure if that's the right one, but I remember being something like that. But anyhow, he has a real successful business, and that's so I wanted to grow my business. And you guys know I'm very good at marketing, or at least most of you do. And so John and I wanted to document how this website was going to go. So we've created different backlinks to it. We created blogs. We created SEO on it. We made this site as premium as we could possibly make it. It's fast, it loads quick, and I run AdWords off of this site. So it is very, very effective. So it's working very effective for the ad campaigns that I run off of it. And I'm getting good results on it. So if you're interested in that, you can PM me or John and we can get you pretty set up. But I'm not trying to pitch you on a website. I'm just letting you know that it is, having a great website and making it look awesome is part of the solution, but having it reacting, getting people's information, and making them feel comfortable and making your site feel trustworthy is important as well. So that's what I've been doing. And going back to reasons why, or do I feel that a PDR shop can survive on its own alone? I don't think so. I'm going to be straight up. Unless you are super busy and super established and you're the only dude in town, then yes. If you're in a hail belt area and you do 8 months out of the year do hail and 4 months out of the year you're not doing that much, then yes, it's going to be sustainable for you. I think it's definitely a good investment. But if you're a guy that you're not sure and you're only going to depend it, and you open up a shop and you're going to spend $2,000 to $3,000 a month for rent, maybe more, just for PDR, remember you have to do probably 3 times as much to really start making a profit. Because it's not just $3,000 that you're going to pay for rent. You got to think of insurance. You got to think of electricity. You got to think of the trash. Anything that's beyond all that stuff on top of your rent, it's going to cost you a little bit more money. Plus your time and your value your time that you're going to be at the shop. So these are some of the things that I've been learning through these 3 years. It's not all glory, but it's also how much work you put into it. Just like anything else, if you want to get a lot out of it, you got to put a lot into it. Let's talk about the pros. Okay. So, and then we'll get to the cons. Okay. So the pros is, I don't have to travel, right? We don't have to travel. Customers come to me. I can take my time. So if I get a smash, really get to just, hey, work on it for 2 or 3 hours straight, get off of it. That's a great thing about doing big smashes is that, you can take your time when you're at the shop. You're kind of over it for a little bit. Take a couple hours, maybe go work on a gas tank, or maybe go help someone, go to lunch, come back, feel refreshed, right? You can't do that mobile. It's like you are stuck on it and you are on it. It could be 5-6 hours on a smash at someone's house. In fact, we did that not too long ago. And it sucks kind of, it takes a toll on you. Even though you can do it, but if you do a few of those a week and you're not taking any breaks, it takes a toll on you physically and mentally. Customers generally don't bargain. So when you throw a price at them and you have it on your wall or you have a price guide in front of you, you have a chance to talk to them in person, they're generally not going to bargain with you because they know that for some reason they respect a shop. Okay. You have overhead. You have things that you have to pay for. You have brick and mortar. It's more legit than if you come to them and then you're pulling numbers out of your butt, which I hope you don't. I hope you have a price guide and I hope you're using Mobile Tech RX or something that sustains that your cost is worth the value of what you charge. My tools are all there. You guys know most of you probably seen my shop. It's really nice. It's clean. It's organized. I love that about my shop. I love that. When a customer comes for an estimate, I make sure they see my shop. I make sure they see the investment that I make to make sure that I'm going to give them the best repair possible. they look at me and go, wow, this guy's really, really invested in his company, and he takes a lot of pride in his shop. And damn straight I do. And damn straight I will let them know. I'm not afraid to let them know that I put a lot of money into my business, especially the tools, because I care about the industry. I care about what the repair I'm going to do. So I think a lot more of us should be doing that too as well. You know, you're not bragging either, guys. So remember that. You're not bragging. You're applying for a job. Always think like that. You think like that, you won't have a problem doing what you're doing. And who gives a crap what the other PDR techs think of you? You got to make a living. As long as you ain't doing nothing crappy and, you know, hurting the industry in general or as a whole, you need to keep doing what you're doing. Don't listen to the haters, because there always will be haters. And those haters are just people that just don't, unfortunately, care much about what they're doing. They're jealous. Or as my kids say, Dad, they're so jelly. They're so jelly. They don't even say the full jealous. They say jelly. So let them be jelly, and don't let that dictate how you run your business. Okay. Another pro is I can keep a car overnight. No, that's another big pro. Big smashes, keep the car overnight. You don't have to do. You know, here's the biggest thing when I had a shop. I always felt like I had to get the car done within 2 to 3 hours most. Even smashes, like I had to get it done within 2 to 3 hours, because I was so programmed when I was when I was doing mobile. That's the time limit you had, man. Like 2 to 3 hours. If you booked 3 jobs, man, you had 3 hours max to be on the job to do a dent. And you got to go as quick as you can. Damn straight, I was quick. I was fast. 90% of the time I did it. 10% of the time I'd have to come back. But you don't have that problem anymore when you're at the shop. Almost customers expect you to keep the car, especially when you got big smashes. It's good. Generally on big smashes, I tell them 1 to 2 days, sometimes 3 days. They're fine with it. They never hesitate to tell you, okay, cool. They don't say, oh man, I need my car back in 2 hours. In a way, they think that you're a body shop. So take advantage of that. The other thing is it's easier to work with insurance claims, because now the insurance claims take you more serious. You know, it's very hard to kind of like work with an insurance claim and go to the customer's house, meet the adjuster. You don't know when exactly the time they're going to be there. You know, maybe most of you don't, but when you're at the shop, they don't just show up. Like they don't tell you, oh, I'll be there right at 1 o'clock. They don't. I'll be there between 1 and 2, blah, blah, blah. But you have more of an opportunity to work with insurance companies when you have a brick and mortar. And you're likely to be a preferred vendor for insurance as well. So that's another topic too. How do you become a preferred vendor for insurance companies? Not a DRP, just a preferred vendor. That's a good topic. And you can do it. If you have a brick and mortar, you should be considering doing that. Because you really want the adjusters to think about you first than a body shop, especially if there's no paint damage. One of the other pros is location. Location. Okay, I'm a pretty good location, but I'm going to talk about the cons of the location too as well in the next when we get to the cons. But my location is pretty decent. I'm right off the freeway off ramp. When you get off the freeway off ramp, you see I have in the front windows, I have a perforated signage up so you can see the signs in the window. It's pretty cool. Looks like my business card. Talks about paintless dent repair, texture photos, right there in your face. Easy peasy, easy to read, not clustered. Looks awesome. Okay. Create workshops days for your car clubs. So you can invite car clubs, different ones, to come to your shop. It works both ways. They love clean shops. They like places where they can meet and hold a meet or hold a tech day for them. where they can get their dents done. Maybe they can work on their cars. If you have something like that, you're going to generate some leads. You're going to generate, a lot of different opportunities for yourself. So that's a pro. Okay. Now your cons. I'm going to move right along, guys, because it's been pretty late, and I know for me personally, so I got to put this podcast out. The cons is, extra expense like rent, electric, trash, and insurance. That stuff adds up. And maybe you got to turn on the heater sometimes. Maybe you got to turn on the AC during the summer. That could fluctuate anywhere between $100 to $300 extra a month. Maybe you have a busy shop, but that's a good thing. So that won't affect it, but that's a good thing. You always got to keep the customers comfortable. You got to pay for Wi-Fi. You got maybe cable. I don't know if you would go that far, but Wi-Fi for sure, because your customers are waiting around. You got a lot of little extra expenses that you got to think about that you weren't thinking about before. You just think a shop is all glory, but it's not. The other thing is that if you've been doing PDR, mobile PDR for a long time, you're used to going home at, whenever you want. Whenever your job was done, most of the time, you guys go home. I was home sometimes between 2 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Made $1,000, $1,500. I was home. Can't do that no more when you have a shop. Can't do that. You got to be there 9 to 5. And I hope most of you aren't giving up your mobile. I hope most of you are actually hiring another tech or have a subcontractor tech where they're out there doing your mobile, because you're going to lose a lot of business if you're just thinking about just going straight into a shop and you think your customers are going to still want to travel to you, because they won't. They still want that convenience. So have a plan like that, because that's a big con. If you're flipping to the other side. If you don't stay central where it's easy for most of your customers to come to you, they're not going to come to you. I know my San Diego customers are not going to drive 40 miles, 50 miles to come to my shop. They're gonna say, hey, send your best guy. And that's what I've been doing. You'll work twice as hard, guys. Be prepared to work twice as hard when you are going to get a shop. It's the money's not just going to come trickling in and flowing through. You have to work your ass off. Now you're promoting for your mobile and promoting for your shop. You have to market like a gorilla, dude, like really hard, really really good. You have to change all your websites. You have to have 2 locations now. You have to have, your Yelp. You have to update everything. You have to promote. Otherwise, you're going to die. So you got to promote it. You're also under contract. So you are committed generally for 3 years. I would say minimum that most people are going to have you sign a lease for. I hardly ever seen a month or a year. It's usually 2 to 4 or 5 years. I just signed a lease again, re-signed mine. Mine's 5 years. Just signed it because I want to keep the rent down to 3% every year, because they're going to raise it up on you. So the longer you go, generally the better deal you're going to get. So we'll talk about the lease too, lease versus own as well. As I mentioned, you're going to have to work your butt off, which now you're going to put more pressure on yourself. This is another con. So you're going to put twice as much pressure, maybe 3 times more pressure on yourself when you have a shop, because now you've got to make a profit. And if you don't make a profit, then it's not worth you doing. So you need to double check if you're going to get a shop, is it going to be worth it? How are you going to get your shop? Okay. Are you getting your shop because you think that it's just going to come right through to you? You're just going to make a lot of money. It's not. It's not going to. Because you had such a successful mobile business that you think customers are just going to come right to you. It's not. Believe me, I market my butt off. I'm good at what I do. but I still have to work to get people in the door. Marketing changes all the time. Why do you think we have mega media event we used to have it every 6 months, but we decided to do it every year because it's just too much of a big obligation between John and I. We have things going, but it changes rapidly. I mean, literally every 3 to 6 months, it's different. What might have worked 6 months ago could change, another 6 months. So you got to be on top of your marketing if you want to have a shop. You want people to keep coming to your door, you got to keep working at it. It's like knocking at doors at the wholesale. That's exactly what it's like. You've got to constantly work at it. And if you're not willing to work your ass off 2 or 3 times harder than what you're normally doing, then don't get a shop. If you think that PDR alone is going to bring you all the business that you want, think again. I really do. I want you to think really, really hard about if that's something that you're willing to sacrifice your time from your family, put a lot of money into it. You got to invest probably right off the bat. If you get a shop, you're going to probably spend anywhere between $10,000 to $30,000 to get it to the caliber that you want. Because you're going to invest in paint, flooring, pictures, office, desks, the setup, toolboxes, storage, flooring. I mean, like I said, flooring, all kinds of different stuff that you don't think about when you go in there. You don't just go in, and at least if you do, then you shouldn't be doing that anyways. But you shouldn't just get a place and just cold turkey start like bringing cars in. It's just unless you're doing hail, customers aren't coming to the shop. You're bringing cars there. But that's something to think about. My long-term goal, I want to buy a building. That's my long-term goal, because buying a building is an investment. When you buy a building, it's an investment. You have a little bit more, shall I say, stake at it, but you can get more return out of it. When you lease something, it's never yours. You're just pitching money away. Yes, I signed up for a 5-year lease. Yes, you're right. Definitely. I'm also not ruling out if I want to get out of the lease or buy something in the near future. So my long-term goal is to buy a building. One of my other long-term goals would be possibly to sell Dent time. Like, everybody has a price. Everybody is building a business for a reason. Now, it's much easier to sell a business when you have a brick and mortar than when you don't. That's just the God-given truth. If you have a brick and mortar, it's much easier to sustain a value on that than it would be just a mobile service. Now, I'm not saying that you can't do it, because there has been people who have done it. But when you have a brick and mortar and you've built it and you've created a system for it and it's running successful, then there's a good chance you could sell it for a lot more than any mobile business you could have had. Now, when you have a brick and mortar and you sell Dent time, or you sell your business, when I sell Dent time, I'll have a residual income for the building. I can still keep the building. It doesn't even matter if I sell Dent time and they don't even stay there anymore. I still own the building. Whoever's in there, I'm collecting residual income. And the long-term goal, as always, which I'm always continuing to do, and I have been doing, is creating a system so the system runs the business and we can run the system. That's what I do. Everything I do has a system, from text messaging to scheduling to even a review. System. Customers go on my site, there's a system there. There's a chat box. There's a There's a form that they can fill out. They can text message me. Boom, I take over. And the system takes over. You got to think about that. How can you be productive? Because you cannot be very productive if you don't have a system in place, guys and ladies. Mobile Tech RX creates technically a system for you to help you price things out, to help you write an estimate, to help you invoice, to help you manage the back end of your business. Why can't you do everything else? Why can't you help set up an estimate when someone text message you, or when someone calls you or comes to your shop? What's the system that you have in place to help that customer move along? I'm going off topic here. I'm just kind of like going systems, but really, that's when a business really has value, is when it has a system in place where someone could actually take over the business, where you don't have to be there. You could be across the world in Australia, or if you have a business in Australia, all the way in America, and that business is still running smoothly. You could die. If you die tomorrow, can your business run without you? That's when you know you have a business. Can your business run if you die tomorrow? Can your wife take it over? Can your husband take it over? Can your kids take it over? Will it still be able to run itself without you? Because if you don't have a business, if you don't run and have a system, right, you don't have a business. That's what I've been saying for a long time. And if you want to know where I got that from, because it sticks with me all the time, you can go check out that book, or the audio book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I guarantee you it's going to stick. It's going to help you reevaluate your business. Just remember, always ask yourself that question. When you know you're close to where you want to be, if you die tomorrow, can your PDR business still run like a business? Because remember, if you don't have a system in place, you don't own a business, you own a job. So that's something to think about. So is a PDR shop worth getting? I don't know. You're going to have to answer yourself that question. You have some questions to ask yourself, and you only know that yourself. I'm basing that off of my experience. Do I think a PDR shop can run just off PDR alone? I would say probably 75% of the chance, no. Unless you have a lot of retail business next to you, a lot of wholesale business, like you're the main person, you have nothing but that, hell yeah, then get it. But if you don't have a big clientele base, and you hopefully, hey man, I'll just open up a shop, I'll get business there, and you don't have a plan to get business into the side of the shop, then don't do it yet. You've got to really contemplate about how you're going to do it. Now, why did I get a shop? You guys know, because I train. I train professionally PDR students, and it is successful, and I'm very blessed to do that. But I marketed myself a certain way to do that, and I've became very, very good at what I do when it comes to training people. I don't know how well it would have survived. I probably would have gotten into more different services at the shop sooner if I wasn't training. Now, some of you know that I already have a bumper repair division, which does very well, but there's no technically reason for me to do bumpers just alone at the shop, because then personally, be careful. There's a fine line when you're doing bumper repairs, small scratch repairs, and then auto body repairs, because every shop that I've seen that's offered bumper repair and minor in quotations scratch repairs has turned into a body shop, and that becomes a giant headache. Every person has gone into a body shop, and I didn't want to do that. I knew that. I've got friends who've been down that route. So be careful about getting into the auto body business or getting into the paint repair division or the bumper repair. As long as you know where you draw the fine line, you'll be fine. Because otherwise, you just became a body shop, and that becomes a really big headache. And then you're dealing with a whole new animal. Now, I'm going to talk about why I want to get into paint protection film, why I'm not getting into full detailing and, auto body. I just explained why I don't want to get into auto body. Detailing drives me nuts. It's messy. It makes the shop really messy. It's loud. There's a lot of problems that could go along with detailing, along with paint repair. Now, paint repair isn't probably the number one thing where people complain. They complain about specks of dust, yada, yada. If you ever look at any of my reviews, the 1 stars I do have are generally about paint repair. And it's going to happen. You're going to get some bad reviews if you get into the auto body business. You're gonna get more bad reviews in that department than any other business. So I picked paint protection film. So I think that is another profitable business if you do it right and you market it right. PDR is good as well. I subcontract out my wheel repair, and I feel like it's a very good profit. I've worked out a deal with the guy I've been using for years, and he treats me fair. I don't feel like I even need to touch that division. I don't need to have someone specifically do it for me directly. It works out great. I don't bite the hand that feeds me. I'm not greedy either. Another thing is that when it comes to money, people act funny. Don't be the funny guy. Because in the end, it's not really worth it. Try to make a little bit more money and screw the person who's actually helping you out. So that's my take on a PDR shop. Can you sustain a PDR shop by itself? I don't know. Some of you can. Most of you won't. So be careful about jumping into a shop. And if you got a good business plan, you've got a good client base, you've got wholesale dealerships, body shops who will bring you cars, and you're doing big smashes, and you can sustain that, then by golly, then do it. But if you have no idea yet, then I would feel it out, build something around it, maybe test the waters, start building your other services, see if you can maintain that, and then get a shop. But really, really put out the pros and cons. Talk to your wife, talk to your friends, talk to your advisors. Really take your time and see if that decision is going to be a good one. So that's my advice. That's my take on, where I'm at. And believe me, I love my shop. I take great pride in it. But I just wanted to share what my experience has been so far, and I hope it helps you guys out make a better decision for yourselves. So I'm Mike Toledo. I just want to say goodbye. Happy Valentine's Day to you guys and gals out there. I hope you guys are enjoying your day out there and don't eat too much. And fellas, don't spend too much on your, what am I saying? Spend a lot on your wives and your girlfriends. And ladies, treat your man right. Okay? They work hard. And give them a break. All right. I'm out of here. I'll talk to you guys later. I'll see you guys on the next podcast.